You can see what I have in my hand. You can see the title of this video. You know what's coming. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. Welcome if you are new. It's an exciting day. It's my favourite day of the month. I don't know why I love filming these videos so much. I partly think it's because I now have a TBR of 127 books. There's every book on my physical TBR video that's already out, and then there's a book haul of another like 35 books coming out week after next. So with those two combined, I have like 125, 30 books to read. And I find that slightly overwhelming. So I think I love the fact that I can use my little TBR jar to pick 8 books to focus on in the month. I tend to read anywhere between 15 to 25 books a month, so obviously quite a lot. And I feel like 8 gives me enough focus that I can often pick books in my 8 that I probably wouldn't gravitate towards naturally, but gives me enough space to mood read, to pick things up from the library. So yeah, I think 8 works for me absolutely perfectly, and I cannot wait to pick my 8 books for April. Oh my god, we're in April. Okay, well, we're still in March. I'm filming this about a week before March ends. I have 1 book left on my March TBR and then I'm done. I feel like I was so on top of my TBR this month. Like, I've read 1 or 2 books in my TBR every single week, and it just means I've like plowed through them, and I loved a lot of them, apart from Babel. If you saw me pick Babel last month, that book was hard. Like, I can see why I avoided it for so long. Hopefully the TBR jar this month is nicer to me. I had quite a lot last month that I wasn't like thrilled about, and I have to say, if you look at my reading stats for last month or the month to date, most of my TBR books are my lowest rated, apart from the ones that like were continuing series. So be nicer to me this time. You can see there's some pink ones in there. These are new prompts. I've either been watching other people's TBR videos and stealing some of theirs, or they just like came to me. So I've added some new prompts in there. I've obviously still got the prompts I haven't picked yet. Right, book number 1. That was very loud. I want a pink prompt. I'm gonna purposefully pick a pink prompt up. Goodreads nominee. Where's my phone? Over there. Right, Goodreads. Sorry, I got a text message and got very distracted. Do I need to screen record? So, I'm screen recording. Pop it up here. These are the books that are coming up in popular 2024 nominations. So, I found it. Guys, I smashed this. Okay, nominees on your shelves. Funny Story. Not in Love. I've read Not in Love. So, Funny Story I think is the only book I have that I can read for this. And that's fine. I'm happy to read that. Where is it? Here it is. I have a different cover. I think that's the US and the UK cover. But Funny Story by Emily Henry. I picked this book up relatively recently from a supermarket, and this will be in my book haul that will come up in, I don't know, 2-3 weeks time, which is why I wanted to film that and then add the books into my options for TBRs, because I knew something like this would come up where I'd need one of these new books. And I actually don't know what this plot is. I obviously know Emily Henry writes romance books that have like a bit of a literary fiction vibe to them. I read Happy Place, I really enjoyed it. I actually haven't read any of her other books. So this will be my second Emily Henry book. Daphne always loved the way Peter told their story. That is, until it became the prologue to his actual love story with his childhood bestie, Petra, which is how Daphne ends up rooming with her total opposite and the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles. As expected, it's not a match made in heaven. That is, until one night, while tossing back tequilas, they form a plan. And if it involves posting deliberately misleading photos of their adventures together, well, who could blame them? It's all just for show, of course. We've got fake dating. That sounds like so much fun. This, to me, just screams spring, summer, and for an April read, perfect. So this is book number 1. Very excited. This is my Goodreads nominee. Book number 2. Right, I'm gonna go in blind this time. A blue one. Okay. A book with a name in the title. Oh my god, this is the kind of thing where I've got too many books and I'm slightly overwhelmed. Oh, I can pick this one. Okay, I have three pretty solid options. There are probably more on this bookcase, and if I was to like go and find more, I probably would still find some more, but these are 3 that I'm going to pick between. All very different. In fact, no, there aren't 3 different genres, but very, very different. So we've got The Truth About Melody Brown by Lisa Jewell. Similar to Emily Henry, I've read one Lisa Jewell book, really enjoyed it. This could be my second one. We then have Alice by Christina Henry, which starts a trilogy of books, I think for like Alice, as in like the kind of fairy tale story. I don't know if I'm excited about this or not. I can't work out how I feel about this book. Or, and I think this is the book I'm most excited about out of these 3 options, we have Emily, Map of the Otherlands, which is the second book in the Emily series by Heather Fawcett. I found the beginning of the first book a little bit slow, but then it builds and it builds and it gets better and better, and the ending of the first book is very exciting. I can't wait to see what happens in the second book. I think I have to pick this one. I think I do. Like, I'm on a mission this year as much as possible to finish books and series I'm in the middle of, and this is one of those. So I think I just have to pick it. Like, I'm so excited. So if any of you who don't know, this story, at least the first one, follows Emily Wilde, who is a researcher from the University of Cambridge. She's gone to like this land, I don't know where it's supposed to be, this land where she is studying fairies to write her encyclopedia of fairies. And while she's there doing her research, her basically like nemesis and academic rival turns up. And we know what happens. Like, they fall in love, obviously, duh. And it was really, really cute. I would say, as much as they like fall in love, it wasn't like a romance story. It was definitely more based on the characters and what the characters are going through, but I still absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the second book, especially as I feel like the vibe has shifted slightly into this book, and I am very excited. So, book number 2. Oh, another pink one. Okay. Starts with the same letter as your previous read. Okay. Right, what did I read last? I don't remember. Peter James, Perfect People, so a double P. So I can read any book that starts with the letter P. Yeah. I think these are my only 2. Oh no, is that the first one? Yeah. I've got 3 options, one of which I'm not excited about at all, and I just read a book by her, so I'm gonna like pop this away. This is The Paris Apartments by Lucy Foley. Also, does this arguably begin with a T, in which case so does another one of these options, but I am just not excited about this. I'm just not thrilled to read it. I am not gonna read that right now. Like, April is one of my favourite months of the year. Like, in the build up to summer, I just get so happy. And I just want to read books this month that I'm excited about. So I'm gonna let the prompts pick books that I'm thrilled, rather than like books that I probably should get around to. So it leaves the other 2 options as Powerless by Elsie Silver, which is the 3rd book in the Chestnut Springs? Is that what this is called? Whatever this series is called. I find the writing a little bit clunky, but I like some of the stories, I love some of the characters, so I'm sure I would love this, but I feel like I've got quite a lot of like romancy, cutesy little stories, and I just don't particularly want to read this one. And I'm gonna pick The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I know it could begin with a T, but the is so small. It's basically Prison Healer, right? That how it works? That's how I'm gonna read it to work, because most books start with a T, in which case. This is my book that starts with the same letter as the last book that I read, that was Perfect People by Peter James. I am so excited to read this trilogy. I have seen so many good things about it, saying that I don't actually know what it's about. If you watch my book haul that's coming up, I will say that a lot. Like, I'm excited to read a book that I know absolutely nothing about. Like, I know it's a fantasy, I know it's a trilogy, I know that's about it. Seems to be some kind of competition. I don't know. I'm excited. I don't really care. I want to read this book. This is my 3rd book in this video, and you guys are running out of charge. So I'm going to give you some time to charge, and then we'll be back to pick the next 5. I've done a run to the tip, and now I'm back. Let's keep going. So we have 3 books. Time to pick book number 4. A book from a genre you rarely read. I would say the genre that I probably read the least of is romance. Like, I read a lot of romantasy, but I don't really read much like romance, and I have funny story in there. But I'm thinking, you know what? So my most read genres are fantasy, romantasy, thrillers. That's it. They're my most read genres. I read a fair amount of fiction, but not like uber amounts. And I read romance, just not all the time. So I've picked up an author who writes fiction books with a romance subplot, and I have basically every single one of her books, and I've read a good chunk, but I actually haven't read many from this like subcategory of her books, which is her more like famous series. So I've got Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think this follows an expert surfer. I've completely made that up. I literally know nothing about this book. I love this author. I think her writing is very smart. Like, it's not too intense that you're like struggling to follow it, but it's also, the choice of words are very well thought through, and I have enjoyed a lot of her books. I think the only one I've not like been obsessed with is the one that everyone else loves, which is The Seven Husbands. I love a lot of her old stuff, like After I Do, One True Loves. Like, I've enjoyed all of her old books, and I've only read one of her like newer style books, and this is another one. So I'm interested. I have wanted to read this for a while. As you move into the spring summer period, it feels like a fitting choice of a book. And yeah, I think this is going to be my book from a genre I never read. I'm excited about it. I just probably wouldn't have like gravitated towards it without someone like dragging me backwards and picking it for me. So yeah, book number 4. Right, book number 5. Highest rated on Goodreads. So this obviously takes all the choice away from you, but it usually picks a pretty good book. I often find the highest rated books are book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5 in a series. So I'm gonna have to pick the highest rated that I can actually read. Okay, average rating. So it is Kingdom of Ash, which I can't read, Empire of Storms, which is book number 5, which I think is my next book, which is the tandem read. So I need to pick both books, which means this is the month of the Throne of Glass tandem read, and I am so excited. I have never tandem read a book in my life. I don't think many people had before this became a thing. These are the 2 you tandem read, right? This is gonna be really embarrassing if you don't. Which books in Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas do you tandem read? Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. Yeah, definitely these 2. Okay, fine. I had a bit of a moment then when I was like, this is gonna be really embarrassing. But this is the next book in my TBR. This is a chunky book to pick. Where's the prompt gone? And I am so excited. I have a, 12-hour or something stupid car trip up to Scotland, and then 12-hour car trip back from Scotland in April. And this is my plan for that read, and I am so excited. Does this now count as 2 books, or am I counting this as 1 book? I'm gonna count it as 1 because I'm very excited and I wanna pick more books. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, book number 6. A 3-word title, which basically is an open pick within reason, because the book has to have 3 words in the title, but a lot of books have 3 words in the title. I'm now just saying words. Okay, I'm overwhelmed. What do I pick? Right, so my 3 options are for a 3-word title, which felt fitting, I'm not gonna lie. One is continuing a series, and the other 2 are starting a new series, which does lead me to preference the continuing one, but the continuing one is The Housemaid's Secret, which is the 2nd book in this trilogy by Freida McFadden. I found the ending of the 1st book slightly underwhelming. Like, considering where I thought it could twist to, I just didn't feel like the ending like had enough to it. So I'm not sure about this, but I do want to continue the series and see where it goes. I think this is also the shortest of the 3 options. We then have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I finished what's the other series called? The Naturals. I finished The Naturals by her this month and loved it. So I'm very excited to see what another series from this author looks like. So I'm excited about this one. And then I see everyone talk about this. The 2nd book in this duology is out in hardback, but not yet in paperback. And this is The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli, I think is how you pronounce her last name. and I'm so excited. This sounds so fun. You've got a witch and a witch hunter. The magic system sounds unique. Everything about it just sounds like a lot of fun, and this is the book I'm probably the most excited about, but I think I should read this because it's the shortest and my TBR stack is looking pretty chunky because of 2 books. This is continuing a series, which is one of my major goals, and I'm already starting 1 new series this month, even with my TBR. So I think this is the book that I want to read this month. So this is The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden. Follows, shockingly, a housemaid, and in the first book, she goes to work for a very rich couple. The wife is an absolute nightmare. The husband seems very nice, and yeah, you're kind of just like, she's hiding a secret because she was in prison. But yeah, it was, yeah, I'm gonna read the second book. Stop that. In my ever-growing pile of books to put back in their respective spaces. Now let's go on to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Book number 7. A book from an auto-by author. So I don't know if I necessarily have auto-by authors because I just buy books off vibes, as you probably know if you watch any of my videos. So I would say an auto-by author for me could be Schwab. I read 2 of her books. I loved The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue, and then I read Valent, which I enjoyed, but I didn't love as much, but I still really enjoyed it. So an option could be A Dark Shade of Magic. McManus is an auto-by author for me. Like, I now own all of her books. I love her writing. I think it's between these 2 for me, being like auto-by authors, because all my other auto-by authors, I either have another option or I've read them all. So we've got A Darker Shade of Magic, which is starting a new series from V. Schwab. There's an original trilogy, there's a second trilogy, which I think is set in the same world. I'm excited about this, but the second and third books in this series are daunting. And I kind of don't want to continue or start a whole epic fantasy series until I finish Throne of Glass. I feel like there's enough confusing character names in that book series. I need to finish that first. Otherwise, I'm going to lose track of who's who and where's what. So I would love to read this. V. Schwab is one of my favourite authors. Definitely be an auto-buy for me. I mean, I have already bought it. I don't think I'm ready to like go into a new magic universe and have some new characters. So I think I'm going to read The Cousins by McManus, who is the same author as One of Us is Lying, which I think is now either a Netflix or BBC TV programme. I don't know, I've not seen it, but I loved that trilogy. She writes YA thrillers / crime books, more thrillers. I have to say, sometimes they do edge on the YA side. I could see why people wouldn't be fans of them, but her characters are amazing. The plots and the twists I love. There is a lot about her writing that I just adore, and I find her writing so addictive, like so addictive. And I'm gonna pick The Cousins, which is the Story family are the envy of their neighbours, rich, beautiful and glamorous, until it all falls apart. The 4 children are suddenly dropped by their mother with a single sentence, "You know what you did," and then never hear from her again. Years later, when cousins Aubrey, Millie and Jonah Story receive a mysterious invitation to spend the summer at their grandmother's resort, they have no choice but to follow their curiosity and meet the woman who's been such an enigma their entire lives. The teenagers are determined to discover the truth, but some secrets are better left alone. Yes, this is my option. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Right, that's book number 7. Book number 8. Okay. This is my last prompt. Be a good one. Be a good one. Reread a 5-star book. So I did my first proper reread this month. Like I've read a couple of books I read as kids or as a child again, like the Harry Potter series. I reread, what's that series called? This one. I reread that series. I've been rereading a couple of books that I haven't read in like 10, 15, 20 years, but I haven't reread a book that I've been reading recently. And I am going to merge this with the previous prompt, and I'm going to reread The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue. Like, I fell in love with this book. I think this is one of the first TikTok famous books that I purchased, and this is one of the first books that I like went out of my way to find rather than just like going into a charity shop, and I completely fell in love with it. And I'd be so interested to read this now, having read a lot more fantasies and a lot more books, full stop. I have such a special place in my heart. I hope it doesn't ruin it, but I am so excited to read this book. This is going to be my reread. This is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It follows a woman in 1714 who gets like promised into a marriage. She doesn't really want to be in it, so she makes a deal with the devil who breaks off the marriage, and she wants to go and like experience life and live her life. So he gives her that, but like with a double-edged sword. So she's immortal, she can live forever, she's no longer tied to this marriage that she wanted, but the reason why she got out of the marriage, and then the reason why, and then the curse that she's got, is that no one remembers her. The minute she like leaves their vicinity, they wake up the following morning, they leave and come back, people forget who she is, and you watch her kind of deal with that. There's a couple of characters who come into play throughout the series. There's a couple of there's 2 love interests, but mainly 1 love interest. And I actually can't wait to reread this. That's actually such a nice prompt, because I need to like reread and love some of my books a lot more than I do, because I tend to read a book and then never touch it again. And I'm trying to love and reread my books. So the TBR jar has chosen, and I think this is a cracking TBR. I have to say, I think this is one of the best. It's a giant one, but it is, I think, one of the best TBRs that the TBR jar has ever chosen. Right, I'm gonna film my little whatchamacallit. Okay, right. A thumbnail will be in there somewhere. I'm gonna do a little summary of all the books that I've picked up for my April TBR. I am so excited about these books. Like, I actually just can't wait. Okay, right, let me pop them the other way around. Book number 1. A Goodreads nominee, we have Emily Henry's Funny Story. This was nominated in, I think, 2024. I am excited about this. I'm excited about all these books, I'm not going to say that. But that is book number 1. Book number 2, which is a book with a name in the title, is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. And I am excited to read this too. I did say I was going to stop saying that, but this is book 2. Loved book 1. We've then got a new series, but the prompt for this was starts with the same letter as your previous read, so P for Perfect People. This is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I've heard so much about this book. This is my like new series that I'm allowing myself to start as part of my official TBR. We then have a book from a genre you rarely read, and I've picked like fiction romance style writing. This is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Book number 5 is actually 2 books, because it was the highest rated on Goodreads, which for me is a book that needs to be read in tandem. And it is Empire of Storms and The Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas, which continues the Throne of Glass series. Excited doesn't cut it. I am like, I think this is gonna like destroy me. Book number 6 is a 3-word title, so I've got The Housemaid Secret by Freida McFadden. Book number 7 is an auto by author, so I picked up McManus, The Cousins. It's a recent purchase. You will see this in my book haul, which I've mentioned multiple times, but yeah, I have 3 of her books, maybe 4 left to read, and this is one of them, so. And then the very last book is a reread, so I have picked The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Like, even my title is starting to scratch off. This is a very loved book, and I don't reread much, and I'm interested. The last reread I did was Perfect People, which is literally the last book I read, and this is a very similar like category of book. Like, I remember this entire plot, and I would love, I think, later to reread a book that I've basically forgotten who's who and what's what. I think that would be an interesting reread, but at the moment I'm rereading my absolute favourites, and this one is a clear favourite. Those are my 8 books. Wow, 8 to 9 books. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to enjoy reading these books, and I am so excited to read them. I actually can't wait. So if you enjoyed this video, give this video a thumbs up. Click subscribe, because I film one of these every single month. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!